The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience. Week 14 recap. Week 15 guessing of this spreads plus everything in between. We have some fried tomatoes in the air fryer coming up in, I don't know, about 15 minutes or so, because it's been a while since Cust has had to pay off the bet he made with Mike Leone on the show like 3 weeks ago that the Jets would beat the Bills. They did not beat the Bills, but they did beat the Texans.
They didn't beat the Texans. They crushed the Texans 30-6. Zach played really good football. The defense was astoundingly good. We got the hat on. We got a win. For some reason, we were underdogs at home in bad weather with a superior defense against a rookie QB. That's what you get for betting on the Texans, I suppose. Bring on the Dolphins next week. Well, let's see how they do in South Beach.
Well, our friend asked you to bet on the Jets against the Dolphins, and you refused.
Oh, I'm not here to say the Jets are going to win. I think it's going to be a close-ish game, and it should be a fun one. The Dolphins could absolutely win, but I think the Jets are in it, at least.
Kenny Kim on the line with us, the king of mustard. What's going on?
What is up, man? I think you should thank me, Tim, because I definitely bet on the Texans this week, and I've been on a bad little streak, so I think that probably helped a little bit. That definitely didn't see that, and I also have money on the Chiefs, so I fully expect Buffalo to win this here in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, we're still sweating the end of this game. It's 17-17. It's 24-7 Denver now with Easton Stick at quarterback because, sorry, Jeff, Justin Herbert is hurt with a finger injury. But he threw those two picks that weren't his fault, so that was nice.
It's not like Easton Stick's got 7 more points against the Broncos than Justin Herbert put up.
You're getting booze from the peanut gallery.
Whatever. I mean, I'm actually quoting a friend of ours who sent me that text message, who's asking, is it the case that Tua really was the best quarterback in that draft class?
Yeah.
The answer is no, because Joe Burrow went to a Super Bowl. So, no, it's still not the best QB.
Well, I think the way that you need to look at it is how many points did Tua put up against Denver?
I believe it was 70.
And how many did Herbert put up against Denver?
I believe it was none. But if you prorated it out for the full game, it was none.
You guys
Go. Like, he played badly. He put up 6 points against the Patriots. Then he managed to put up no points against the Broncos. He hasn't been playing well. Like, it's not all his fault, surely. I agree with that. But it's not none of his fault.
So Kenny,
It's definitely some of his fault.
Yeah,
it's definitely some of it. Definitely some of his fault because they look horrible. They look like one of the worst teams in the league. And actually, right now, with what's his name, Stick in it, seem okay. At least they're throwing it down the field a little bit. I don't know, man. Herbert looks awful the last couple of weeks. Maybe he's injured. Maybe there's more to it than this finger injury. I don't know. But he looks off.
Who knows? Short week, we'll see whether he even plays on Thursday night.
The biggest mistake the Chargers have made this year was beating the Jets and Patriots, because they might, if they don't win those games, they might have the second overall pick, and Jeff would be in his glory.
Yeah, absolutely, he'd be trying to figure out which quarterback they should take, right? No, of course, I would take Herbert in a heartbeat, but the fact is, at 6'6", you shouldn't be getting every other pass deflected at the line.
So we got to figure out what the biggest stories of the day is, or are, at least. I think the biggest story of the day, and it's putting a lot of these DeMar Hamlin wagers for comeback player of the year into jeopardy, because Nick Mullens is back, and he is a winner. So for weeks, you've been going on about Josh Dobbs and how Josh Dobbs sucks. And he sucks so much he got pulled from the game only to see a winner of a custody of your biggest rival. You thought he was out of the league, but he's not. And he came in to replace Josh Dobbs, leads them to the game-winning drive, 3-0 blowout win for the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah. And now it's Mullens season, baby.
Yeah, sure. Great.
Kenny, Cust was on the couch every single play, begging for a fumble from the Vikings, claiming that every pass was intentional grounding, despite the fact that it was thrown at people. It was a really pathetic showing from Cust.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I know he's not the biggest Dobbs fan. It looks like Dobbs is not going to be there anymore. Now you got Mullens, former commander, also, who played for the Commanders for a few seasons, was on their practice squad. That was a horrible game. I mean, that was like the worst football I've seen. I don't even know. The Army Navy game was better than that. I mean, Jesus, it was a 3-0. It was just horrible wastefulness. Don't even want to watch type deal. But in the back corner of my TV, it was on, and it was horrible. I couldn't even.
Chargers offense versus that Raiders offense on Thursday night, a game you dare not miss.
We thought,
Just like I said about that Patriots Steelers game on Thursday night, you don't need to watch that.
Well, the
Thursday
first
night
half
game.
was actually good in that game.
You don't need to watch any of these games that don't matter.
Would the Jets be 17-0 with Nick Mullens?
No.
Are you sure?
Zach played good today. I mean, look, I'm second in no person in criticizing the way Jack Wilson has played this season. He's played some bad games, but he looked really good today, and the Jets defense was dominating today. Yet another game where, unless it's Buffalo, no receivers score against us. I'm really interested to see how they stack up against the Dolphins next week. The Dolphins will probably win. They'll be heavy favorites. But that defense should keep the Jets. If Zach plays like he did today, where he doesn't throw bad balls and gets the ball into Wilson and into Breece Hall's hands, they got a shot at keeping it close and making it a game.
Well, it's now a situation where Miami's defense, basically since Jalen Ramsey has returned, has been a top 5 defense in football. Now, they haven't really played anyone, so what does that really mean? Not that Jets offense is likely to light them up by any means. They still have to get through Tennessee on Monday night, too. Like, we just seen a bunch of weird weeks.
Yeah.
That
would be, by the way, the story of the A block. But Tommy Cutlets is playing tomorrow night, so we don't get to talk about him in the A block tomorrow.
Well, we all know that the number one story from the A block, which is not eligible, is going to be who wins Dallas and Philly tonight in Sunday Night Football. But
Definitely.
we need to know who's not scoring the first touchdown.
Swift.
Swift boat John Kerry, no first touchdown. Don't ask about the Swift boat.
Yeah, well, you didn't win that election. Maybe
When's Rodgers coming back?
I really hope it's Christmas Eve. And if the Jets do happen to win
Is that the Browns game or the Washington
It's
game?
Washington, in New York. I really feel like if the Jets...
that'd be the best game for Rodgers to come.
If the
because
Jets
he will come in and
pull the
light
up-
us
yeah.
up.
If they pull the upset next week, they would be probably no worse than a game back to the playoffs, and that would meet Rodgers' criteria about the Jets being in playoff. So essentially, next week against the Dolphins is a hinge game for Rodgers to come back. If they lose, he's not going to, but if he does, I think he probably does.
So, Kenny, what's best case right now for the Washington franchise? To lose the rest of their games?
Lose every single game. The Bears win helped this week. I was a big fan of that. Just give me like the second pick, and hopefully we don't make a mistake like the last time where we could have had the first pick in the draft, but instead we decided to go for 2 against Miami and beat them, and we got Chase Young instead of Burrow. That happened in 2020. That better not happen this year. I'm thinking we're going to get the second or third pick. Draft either O-lineman, quarterback, or Marvin Harrison. I'm okay with all 3. I'm okay with all 3.
You did beat the Patriots, so wouldn't that affect the draft standing in terms of head-to-head?
Yeah, but the Patriots still have to play the Jets again, so that's an auto win for them.
We'll see.
Has
They
Zach-
have always beaten them
Has Zach
last year.
Wilson ever beat the Patriots?
Absolutely not.
That's going to be a tough scene. That'd be crippling.
That's week 18. You're all focused on playoff seeding and who's going to go where. I'm solely focused on that Jets Patriots game in week 18.
Well, Kenny's talking about going for 2. I think that we do need to talk about this Jacksonville decision.
Oof.
Not that it really mattered because they still needed to recover an onside kick. However, a lot of people, especially in like the Vegas Super Contest or anyone who bet that game earlier in the week, that was flipping between 3, 3.5. And then I think it just got absolutely smashed once like the weather report came out. And it dropped below 3, so it didn't really matter. I know some people got it at 1.5. But there's a lot of people sitting there with Jacksonville plus 3.5 tickets to watch them go for 2 to ensure that a field goal would now no longer be good. Now, I did see some analytical debate about it, that it was the proper move because now a field goal wins you the game. I understand that point of it, but where you have no timeouts left, so little time remaining, that it's unlikely that you're going to score a touchdown if you miss, that you just kind of want to kick the can forward, at least in my mind. And maybe I'm dead wrong about that.
You can still go for some aggressive play calls if you get the onside kick. You don't have to settle for a field goal right away. You can still try to win the game with the ball. It just, the way things were shaking out, it didn't seem like it was the right move. You really locked yourself out of a chance to win the game, I think, by missing it. Like you while you marginally increase your potential of winning, you really hinder you basically are cooked if you don't. So I didn't like it myself.
What do you think, Kenny? Were you shocked that they went for 2?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me because I mean, if you have such little time, I mean, okay, so you get it. If you say you miss it, you have to get a touchdown. I mean, just kick the field goal and you can at least tie or have a chance to still win if you get the onside kick, just like Tim said. It doesn't seem like it was worth the juice. Just go ahead and get that point, tie it if you can, because if you get to like the 45 of the other team after the onside kick, which is just one play, I mean, you can kick it and, these guys can make 60-yard field goals. You know what I'm saying? So it just doesn't make sense to me why, with such little time they would try and do that. It just doesn't make sense.
No.
So let's talk about Houston as well, because I don't know the extent of the CJ Stroud injury. So Dalton Schultz doesn't play. Tank Dell is out for the season. Nico Collins leaves in the first quarter with an injury. Noah Brown is so banged up he can't practice, but he's trying to play through it and is wildly ineffective. And then CJ Stroud gets his head dribbled off the ground and he has to leave the game. And then giraffe fucking neck Davis Mills has to come in the game. And now he's in. So are they cooked? Are they just, you're finished? That's all?
I have to look at who they play before
I can bring that up for you. Kenny, because in the AFC right now we have, and we'll see what the outcome of this game is. The chat is asking Paul, how are your nerves at the moment?
We're expecting the worst,
Expecting the worst?
but hoping for the best.
So they have the Browns and Colts left and 2 against the Titans. Browns and Colts are both going to be significant tiebreaker games. Those are the teams they're vying to make the playoffs against. So even if they clean up against both games against the Titans, if we give them both those games, they probably have to do no worse than split with Cleveland and Indianapolis.
So
we've got to go 3-1 down the stretch to make the playoffs.
So do you think that there's a chance, does 10 wins in the AFC get you in? Because as it stands right now, we don't know the outcome of the Bills game. There's 2 minutes left. They're in field goal range. We'll see how this happens. Hopefully they don't leave 13 seconds on the clock or something like that. We'll see how that turns out. However, Pittsburgh 7-6. The Bengals with Dan Marino at quarterback are 7-6. Really helping my. I have them to win the Super Bowl. So let's go, Jake Browning. So they're both 7-6. The Bills have the potential to be 7-6. We'll see. The Colts and Texans are both 7-6. The Broncos are about to go to 7-6, and then you still have. The Chargers and Raiders will be 5-8. They're probably cooked at this point. The Jets are probably cooked at 5-8. They have a very limited path in order to get in. And then Tennessee, I suppose, if they beat Miami, would also be.
I would say 10 wins will get you in. Someone is going to get in with 9 wins. They're going to win the tie breaks to get there. Just by the nature of the teams who are all going to be playing each other, seems hard to imagine that everybody is going to finish up in the AFC wildcard because all the wildcard spots are up for grabs. Cleveland's got a 1-game lead on the pack, but just looking at who plays who and down the stretch, I feel like 10-7 gets you in. There's a real chance that somebody who wins all the AFC tiebreakers, whether that be Indianapolis, whether that be Denver, whether that be the Bengals, get in at 9 wins. That's the way it looks to me right now.
So someone in the chat mentioned, do you think that Peterson just didn't want to go to OT so he wouldn't get put into a death spot so Jeff would pick against them for next week?
Yes, that has got to be the idea. That has got to be the idea.
Someone mentioned, how is Browning's injury? It sounded like it was just cramps.
Yeah, he said to people that he just wasn't drinking enough water on the sidelines because it was cold.
It hurt his teeth.
Yeah, well, I made that part up. I quoted Unky Mo, the thing from Unky Mo about how it made her teeth hurt. But he looks great. He looks great through 2 weeks against real legit opponents. Like 2 teams are fighting to make the playoffs so good on them.
Well, they also got.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
They also started using that new running back. Who's that running back that they started running? Who looks just fast as hell.
Yeah,
he looks like the quickest person in the league. I don't know why they haven't used him the whole season, but now he's coming in there, and Mixon looks good too. They got that 2-headed monster. There's too much time.
I wouldn't count
too
them
much.
out.
You think there's too much time here?
You left Patrick Mahomes way
Yeah, but they
too
don't have
much
Tyreek
time.
Hill.
There's too much time.
I wouldn't count the Bengals.
We're
outright.
cooked.
I don't know who they've got left on their
As a
schedule.
live bet, if we go into this right now, as this game is ticking down, what's Mahomes? If we go into player props, what is Mahomes' rushing prop for the rest of the game?
I mean, the Bills were in this situation against Mac Jones, and he marched down the field and scored a touchdown.
Such a loser.
Bengals play the Vikings on Saturday afternoon.
You got to feel
That's
like
a really pivotal game.
That's
for
a
both
big
conferences,
game.
for both conferences.
Big game.
Pat's win total team is starting to get a little bit better here.
Yeah, I mean,
The Bengals got to win. The Vikings got to win. San Francisco got to win. The Rams couldn't come through for me. The
that
Bucks
felt
came
bad.
through.
The Rams are a good team, and they're probably
That was a
not
hell
gonna
of a
make
game.
It was. They're probably not going to make it, just given the nature of things. But my goodness, they're going to be better than some of the teams that make the playoffs.
Someone in the chat pointed out that Stefanski Coach of the Year before today was 30-1. I don't know what he's down to right now, but if they just named Flacco the starter for the rest of the season.
Why wouldn't you?
And they won. I mean, their schedule today looks, because we went through their final 5 games before last week, and it looked like it was going to be like, they had 3 easy games and 2 really hard games. But now that you look at it, it's like, well, the Jets are a little bit better. Chicago's a little bit better. The Bengals aren't a complete dead fish anymore. It's like,
They got the Ravens still, do they? Or
and
the
they have
Steelers?
I believe that they have the Ravens, but their hard game was going to be Jacksonville.
like-
Shout out to Trevi, by the way. High ankle sprain, looks like he's dead. Comes in, played not
Nobly, yeah.
great, but he played well enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Better than what anything guilty beathard was going to give you.
I saw some stats saying he hasn't missed a game since high school, like ever.
I mean,
Like
it's
he
impressive.
hasn't missed a game from injury since high school. I thought he was done. I was shocked that he was out there this week.
The NFC playoff race is incredibly interesting, too, because
David points out the Texans are actually the other Browns opponent, and the Texans might be fried at this point, much like these tomatoes that are coming out for you, air fried. They're really good. Actually.
I can't possibly eat all of these, nor will I.
You have to eat 2 of them.
All right. I will. I'll let
You have to
them
eat
cool
2
down.
of those. Why don't you hold those up to the camera? Paul will cut over to you. Hey, Paul, you can cut over to that camera.
You ate 4 pogos on this
Pogos
show
are
before.
delicious.
You can do
Yeah.
it.
They're nice and crispy on the top and bottom, and nice and juicy with tomato goodness on the inside.
Ick. I'll let them cool down a touch.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, in the NFC.
No, we're still talking about the AFC right now.
All right, go ahead.
So we'll see what happens here. Oh my God, Marquez Valdes-Scantling caught a ball? No, that's not.
I don't think he caught it.
That's not a catch.
I don't think he caught it.
It's Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Of course, it's not a catch. The only time he's ever caught a pass this season is when I bet a
Oh.
stupid under in that London game or Frankfurt
He
game.
caught it. He actually caught it. You know, I saw a
Yeah,
stat.
his
He
knees
has like
down. That
800.
looks like a catch.
No, don't call it a catch.
He's been in 850 snaps on offense, and he has like 17 catches.
That's pretty good.
So, you know, I say like 850 snaps on offense. He has like 17 catches.
So if we play the game that all the division winners that are currently there in the AFC South is up for grabs now with all these. No one was kind of like, although the Jags lost to the Browns, I feel like they came out as a big winner today in the division. With Stroud going down, probably not going to play next week with a concussion, and the Colts losing to the Bengals and looking really bad. And they should have lost last week to Tennessee, too, and blocked 2 punts.
That's true.
That they could be reeling as well, that maybe Jacksonville, if Lawrence can get progressively healthier and they can find a few games here over the next little bit, that all of a sudden, like
agree.
they're just the 4 seed, but they're still going to coast to
I
their
agree.
division without 2. Like they have the Ravens, Bucks, Panthers, and Titans. So the Bucks and Panthers and Titans, they're favored in all 3 of those games.
definitely.
They'll probably lose next week at home to the Ravens. But they could win, who knows?
Yeah, maybe. That's a Sunday nighter, too.
Do you think that the Colts or Texans make the playoffs? You can't gotta stop just looking at the schedules. It's your gut reaction.
No, I'm looking at the schedule. I'm looking at the standings.
They're both 7 and 6.
No. I'm going to say no to both.
No to both?
Because Denver, Buffalo, Cleveland.
You're putting Buffalo hasn't even won this game. It's Buffalo.
Even still, Buffalo will be no worse
Stop
than
it.
1 game back with a loss. Denver, Buffalo, Cleveland, Cincinnati. And
You think
and that's
Cincinnati
me writing
gets it?
off, and that's me writing off Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you think Pittsburgh's cooked.
I think after losing to Arizona and New England in a 4-game stretch, your chances of being a playoff team are cooked.
I don't necessarily agree because they're going to have a extended week. Well, Indianapolis, although at home, plays on a short week this week on Saturday in that middle game of the Saturday slate.
Yeah.
And whoever loses that game is probably done.
Less so if it's that's probably true.
Unless Indy loses, the Texans lose, and the Jags lose, then Indy's
Which
Fine.
probably will happen.
It can happen, obviously. But I mean, I guess when we guess the spreads, we'll see what happens there. The AFC is just very interesting. Do you think Denver makes it? What was that?
What in the hell?
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Is
there's a
what's this
flag on the
flag?
play.
What's this flag doing?
No.
How did
There's too much time.
But Taylor is celebrating.
How did Tony not drop that? He dropped every other thing today.
My God.
Oh, it's a penalty on
They don't seem like they're super. Oh, you got failed out there.
Wow.
I was gonna say they left Josh too much time though.
And it was Tony who was offside.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, no wonder he was so wide open.
Lineup's offside. That's embarrassing.
Wow.
What an idiot. What a
Yeah,
play.
yeah, he is in front of the center. That is for sure.
All right, I'm going to eat one of these vile tomatoes.
All right, let's see. Let's have a tomato.
So lucky.
You get a special prize if you finish 2 of them.
Is this just like a red tomato that's just been air fried?
Yeah, so I put
So good.
It can't possibly be that bad. It's a fucking tomato.
you sound like the grape lady who fell off.
Ow, ow, ow. Oh my God, those are vile. Woo! All right, I need a few seconds here before I can.
Many are pointing out that there's no Santa on your Diet Coke can, and that's very sad.
You know what? It is really sad. I really am. Like, I saw it again there at the store the other day. It's like, why? I deserve special treatment. Why do the other ones get the Santas and I don't? It's not right.
I assume that
Pat made
whoever
the good point on the last show. Because the Diet Coke people are going to drink Diet Coke no matter what.
He did.
They're
make
just
a-
like,
yeah.
yeah.
you agree
And then
with
Coke people like will just grab a Coke randomly.
His
And
point
that's
about
why.
Diet Coke being a fiend drink, I think is a pretty unassailable point, actually. As much as I would like to disagree, I think he's onto something there.
Yeah, if you're a fiend, you drink Diet Coke because you need them. 0 calories. I'll have 30.
It does
Well,
seem like to be the only soda that like there's a whole community of people who belong to it.
Oh, here we go. 4th and 15 coming up.
You can't be a fiend with regular Coke because it's just way too much sugar. Like,
Yeah,
it's hard to justify fiending that
But
hard.
I
You have no
also
idea
don't
what the
know any-
aspartame does to you long
But
term.
I don't know any Fresca.
At least it doesn't make you
And
fat.
I don't know any like Coke Zero fiends. I'm
Or
sure
Diet
there are.
Pepsi fiends.
I'm sure
I
there
don't know
are
them.
Coke Zero fiends, but they seem to be far less vocal than Diet Coke.
All right, I'm going to eat the second one.
You're gonna eat the second one?
Let's just
Let's see it, Franz.
Be done with this.
You can touch it with your fingers.
I
That's
could,
okay.
but
Get your fingers on it. You have a good one, unlike Justin Herbert.
Leave him alone. He's done nothing to any of you.
He looks. It can't be that bad. Tim, do you like fried green tomatoes? You ever
No,
had fried
I don't
green
like any
tomatoes?
tomatoes.
With like a remoulade, a little crispy outside. That's delicious.
That is so bad.
So-
So what's my prize?
So Cust wins his prize. Yan, can you do me a favor and pull out that box from underneath the table over there?
Oh my God. This. You got an air fryer.
What's my prize?
Your prize for the year of enjoying air fryer is an air fryer.
Oh, wow!
You
And
get
it's got the 2 drawers.
You get the dual drawer Ninja Foodie,
wow.
but only Price is Right rules. You have to come within $10 of what it cost.
Oh my goodness.
There's no way.
$170.
You're $8
See?
off.
That seemed like it was a pretty good bid.
Oh, I'm being lied to. No, I'm being lied to. He's shaking.
He's
his
been
head.
shopping. He's been shopping,
What
price
is it?
shopping. for them.
$165, you win.
He's so good at picking odds.
165.
I actually have no idea how much.
It's also Price is
It's
Right.
yours.
Also, Price is Right rules. I would have lost.
That's I
'Cause I
said you
went
had to
over.
get within 10 either way.
Oh, how about that? We should take this off the table.
I suppose that's true. Gee, first time I've seen you in 5 years. You hung around for the show. Now you can be on the show yourself.
This is Geoff. That was Geoff. He also lives in the house with all the other friends of Pat.
It's just the communal house where everyone lives. So you get an air fryer.
Well, thank you.
You
That's
are welcome. I got an
incredibly-
Apple Watch for Christmas. My wife can't help it but just give gifts the moment that she receives them.
That is extremely kind.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
You've enjoyed, and you had to eat the tomatoes, which are delicious, by the way.
Incomplete on 4th down.
Oh my God.
Turnover on downs. I couldn't tell you if the Chiefs had timeouts, and the TV wouldn't
They got-
help me because CBS
Ah,
doesn't know what
They
timeout
have
teams.
one left. They have one left. It's over. I thought they had 2.
It's
I thought
over.
they had 2.
So
And
there
like
was gonna be another
Indy lost
13
today.
second.
Indy lost today. Houston lost today. Like it
in.
really opened back. We're not in.
You're
we
in.
still have to win. But like when I was running the playoff machine today. After winning this, it's like you can actually be into a playoff position in 2 weeks.
It's spot game situation. Dallas is going to exhaust themselves this evening, having played Philadelphia, and now you get to waltz in to Big Dallas with a W. AFC teams always beat NFC teams in big spots, so you're in. The question is...
Stop saying that.
The question is, are there going to be more terrorist pregame speeches since they won this week? Will there be
I'm
more
just
of
telling
that?
you, Paul, you're going to hate me when it's the Bills-Dolphins in the first round of the playoffs, and I have to cheer for the Bills.
What is going on with Mahomes? Why is he crying?
He's screaming at somebody.
Like he's legitimately crying.
Who's he yelling at?
He's yelling probably at the ref. I'm sure he's yelling at the ref.
Oh, he's yelling at Tony? Oh, that'd be awesome if
That
he
would
was.
make it. That would be
Well, if he's yelling at the ref,
Tony
he gets
deserves-
flagged. You can't go at a referee like that.
No,
There's one of your
Tony
top-
cost him 2 games.
One of your top stories are the Chiefs in shambles. Like,
Yeah,
what's
are the
wrong with them?
Well, but they can't be because they're still minus 9,000
It
to
looks
win
like
their
he was
division.
giving Andy Reid the business.
No, I know, but like losing to Green Bay last week and then this one as well. Like,
so they're 8 and
it's been
5?
pretty bad.
They're
So-
8 and
so are the
5.
Broncos-
The bye will be
Broncos
decided.
a game back.
Yeah.
No, because
Are the
they
Broncos-
Yes, 7-6.
they are.
And they split, so there's.
Oh
no
yeah,
more-
they are technically a game back. Yeah.
But essentially, we know now the bye is going to be decided on New Year's Eve between the Dolphins and the Ravens.
Well, the Dolphins can lose some games here. Let's not pretend like they have a very hard schedule.
They will play the next couple of weeks: Titans, Jets.
Yeah,
And
and
then
then
Cowboys.
they end Cowboys, Ravens, Bills. Like those could be 3 losses for
But
the
I mean, that's
Dolphins.
why that Ravens game will probably be now that they've got a 2-game lead on Kansas City.
Yeah.
I think that Ravens-Dolphins game, which is an early game for some reason on New Year's Eve, will be the decisive game.
So the AFC playoff picture, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Indianapolis are the 3 that are in, with Cincy, Buffalo, Denver, and Houston.
You have
with
1,
the same
2,
record,
3,
but
4, 5, 6 teams all at 7 and 6.
6 teams at 7 and 6.
And
It's going to be a wild end of the
no
season.
teams at 6 and 7. I don't think. I think the next teams are Raiders, Jets, and Chargers.
Yeah.
So like they've got a 2-game lead on the would-be Chasers. So
Yeah, so the
I think we
Chasers-
can write all those teams out.
so the Chasers are dead, essentially.
Even if they win out, I don't know that they have the tiebreak. So yeah, I would say we know the playoffs are going to be amongst. But I mean, there's still 4 teams that have to hit the cutting room floor there.
So let's go to moment of the day. Do you have your moment of the day?
I mean, I wish I could remember what it was before the leap because I did have one.
What do you mean?
Oh, my moment of the day was Charles Davis.
There you go.
Charles Davis was calling the which game?
Jags game.
The Jags game, and he is very much in favor of them. No, he's
Of
calling
not-
the Lions Bears game. That's what he's calling.
No, he was doing the
And he was-
Schlereth was doing the Lions Bears game. What happened with Charles Davis is he thought they should have punted on 4th down.
That's right. He thought they should have punted on 4th down. They go for it. They don't get it after they call. So the Jags are trying to decide what to do. They call timeout. Before they call timeout, Charles Davis is like, I think you got to punt the ball back here. But instead, the Jags take a timeout. He says, well, now they take a timeout. They should go for it. As if the reason they didn't call the timeout wasn't that they were going to go for it already. Then the Jags go for it, don't get it, and he's like, I really agree with that call. It's like, no, you don't. You just said you don't agree. It's the first time a commentator has ever switched his position to the one that was wrong after the fact. I was like, I was flabbergasted by that.
Play of the day.
Moment of the day. So, did you have any moments that stuck out to you, Kenny?
I mean, the biggest one that I saw was that punt return in overtime. I mean, that's the one that sort of
Well, that was awesome.
grabbed my attention. That punt return. That game was great. I thoroughly enjoyed that game. It was good football and messy conditions, and both the teams played well, and the defenses were there. I enjoyed that game thoroughly. I thought the ending was great.
Just as important in that game, speaking of punts, was Lamar having the common sense to kick that ball out of bounds, not try to recover it on the dropped snap. Because if he tries to go for that ball sits there, can easily be recovered for a touchdown by the Rams. So his heads-up decision to kick it out of bounds for a safety was almost as critical as obviously the punt return that won it for him.
So the Ravens now have a 2-game lead in that division.
Yeah.
And they finished, their schedule is not easy. because they're at the Jags, which is a losable game.
Less losable than it was, but yes,
Absolutely. It's if the Jags,
the Rams just put them to the limit.
yeah, if
so.
the Jags at home beat the Ravens by 3 next week, are you going to be super stunned? No. Then they're at the 49ers.
That's a loss.
Then they're at home against the Dolphins in that hinge game you were talking about.
That's going to be massive.
And then they're at home against the Steelers to end the year, which you just know is going to be a 3-point game.
Yeah, those
somehow.
are all tough games. The Dolphins have tough, but like, I really think the Chiefs and Jags are probably too far out to get that 1 seed now. 2 games in 4 weeks is hard to make up the difference.
So do you think it's down to Miami and Baltimore for the 1 seed?
Yes, but the Chiefs do owe the tiebreak in a head-to-head versus the Jags and Dolphins.
Chiefs are 2 back.
They're 2 back.
Or they're 2 back of the Ravens.
They're really 1.5 back of the Dolphins, 1.5 and a half game back of the Jags, up on the Jags. So I think at this point you'd say it's like a 40% chance that it's the Dolphins, 45% the Ravens, and then like 10% chance that Chiefs or Jags take it.
Bills?
I don't think if the Bills win out, they can get it.
Paul, are the Bills going to win the Super Bowl?
I don't know if I would go as far as to say that.
It was ever since they lost that game to the Eagles, and I said this to you last week or 2 weeks ago. Everything has broken right for Buffalo.
It really has.
The Red Sea has parted ways for the Buffalo Bills.
The schedule is still incredibly difficult down the stretch here.
Sure, but like you went into Kansas City coming off the bye in a do or die game, and you won the game, and you were the better team today too.
The best thing that could happen to the Bills is the Cowboys putting a beating on the Eagles tonight.
I agree.
Like win by 30 or something like that, then the Bills just beat them. Mm-hmm. Because it's in Buffalo, right?
It
Next
is
week?
in
It's in Buffalo.
Buffalo. Ooh.
Yeah, so, I mean, also remember that after the Cowboys game, it's Chargers-Patriots, which are no gimmies for the Bills.
But they ought to be, and they ought to.
You're playing 2 of the worst teams in the AFC.
So there you are.
And,
You're
and
at
it
9
boosts up
wins.
your AFC stock as well.
Yeah,
at
so
the
I
same
get you to
time.
9 wins. So if we give them those 2 games, they got to split between Dallas and Miami.
To get to 10.
And that gets them in.
And the Dolphins might not be playing anyone in Week 18, potentially.
Maybe not.
Potentially.
Maybe not. But
Is
like,
that Miami game in Miami or is it in Buffalo?
It will
Miami.
be in Miami, yeah. But I mean, the Bills have never missed the playoffs before playing a team with nothing left to play for.
Well, I mean, you're a Chargers fan. At this,
Bashing the shit.
I understand we're bashing the shit out of the Chargers, but at this point,
They're not the worst team in the league.
well, they're
No,
one of
they're not.
Their record is the worst in the league.
But at this point, with no chance to make the playoffs, Herbert is injured. You're not going anywhere. Just sit him the rest of the year. Yeah, sit him the rest of the year.
I would too.
Get yourself a great pick. See what you got in Easton Stick.
I agree.
Hopefully nothing, and you continue to lose games.
I certainly think you have to play East and Stick Thursday night.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Although,
Play it out.
I mean, let's see if Herbert's as tough as the other guy in his draft, Trevi.
He wasn't in that.
Oh yeah, that's true. It was Trevi.
Tua.
It was Trevi and Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
That was the
Zach
draft.
played good today.
Yeah, he's
just saying.
great.
Zach is trying to win the backup spot for next year.
Do you want him to be the backup?
No, I don't. But I think Rodgers does.
I thought there was already news that they're going to trade him.
To who?
Isn't that something that came out this week?
Were they trading him to the Houston Roughnecks of the XFL?
This was like last year where
True,
the Niners
true,
were like, "Oh,
Hey.
we have a quarterback who's on the market. If you want him, you can have him." You know, and then they had to cut him or trade him for like a 7th round pick to Dallas. So
Go Hunters.
Yeah, whether Herbert's finger is broken or not, I think we're going to hear his finger is broken.
Yeah, I wouldn't
And that he's not playing no more.
certainly not Thursday night. There's no reason at all to play Thursday.
Nah, the Chargers are dumb. They'll probably just roll him out there.
They probably will play him.
Right?
Well, you know,
they have no
Staley
reason
wants him
to, but they
play.
will.
Well,
Staley needs him to play because Staley's fighting for his job. Everyone thinks he's going to be fired anyways, but technically he's fighting for his job. You know he's going to want him to play.
There's no point of firing Staley.
not now.
Like, what's the difference?
I mean, you could.
Like,
if
you're
you-
trying to lose games. You might as well keep him as the coach.
I don't know.
Just to do it.
Put Kellen Moore in charge. It's not like he's doing a good job. Look at
Kellen
Dallas'
Moore seems
offense
awful too
this year.
Yeah,
They're a poverty franchise. They're not paying the money to get themselves out of
They
that.
might just leave one of the spots vacant.
Yeah. Sorry,
Scene.
Jeff.
And they're the Thursday night game this week, too. Let's briefly talk about the Chiefs, because I think the Bills, like every advanced stat will tell you that the Bills are good.
Mm-hmm.
Point differential will tell you they're one of the best teams in the league. And their defense has shown up the past 2 games. It melted a little bit against the Eagles 2 weeks
A
ago.
little bit.
They have no one left. They lost all their good
I know,
players.
but like, let's not say they played well against the Eagles.
They played well in the first half
They
to
did.
limit that offense.
They
They
did.
played well today to limit
They
Mahomes,
did.
although all Mahomes does has receivers who drop the ball. But, like, would you be more surprised if Kansas City won the Super Bowl or got knocked out in the first round?
I still would be more surprised if they get knocked out in the first round because of Mahomes.
Kenny?
Because of Mahomes.
I think I'd be more surprised if they get knocked out in the first
Because of
round.
Mahomes.
I think I would.
It's still going to be a home game. They're going to win their division. Now, the second round, I think Mahomes has never played a road game in the history of his career in the playoffs, right? So that could be something. Maybe they lose in the second round.
So Kansas City, after they've lost 3 of 4 now, they get the Patriots and Raiders the next 2 weeks. Then they finish Bengals, Chargers. So the talk of Denver catching them, it's possible, but with that schedule, they're probably favored in all of those games. Unless the Bengals continue to run train on people.
Honestly, it would be surprising if they didn't win all 4 of those games.
Even if they go 3-1, they're probably fine. Because Denver, to finish their year, goes Lions, Patriots. Did Patriots play the NFC West?
I couldn't tell you what the record is within the AFC West. I mean, I know the...
It's Lions, Patriots, Chargers,
I'm trying to think,
Raiders.
like, between the two of them. Should they finish tied?
Well, they still have
The Chiefs
2 games,
lost to the Broncos.
but the Broncos still have 2 games against the AFC West.
Okay, I'm just trying to think if the Broncos have any other losses against the AFC West.
The
They
Broncos?
did. They lost opening week against the Raiders.
Oh yeah,
So
that's
that
right.
puts the Broncos in the because the Chiefs and Broncos tied.
So they're
first
a game and a half
tiebreaker
back.
would be AFC West record, and the Broncos have 2 losses in division.
Hence why the Chiefs.
You blame Tony for that loss, too,
You could.
right? That first game.
Well, no. The Broncos Raiders game. The fact that the Broncos lost that game gives them the extra loss in in division, so that they wouldn't beat the Chiefs in a tiebreak based on that.
That's going to be the Spotify question of the day. I spoke with people at Spotify, and they want more engagement, so my show shows up so we can get more downloads and everything like that. So
Raps.
please, if you're out there and you have Spotify, even if you don't listen to this show in particular on Spotify, you should have set it to auto downloads to help out the show. But there will be a poll question on Spotify once this audio podcast is released of it's the Chiefs question. We'll say the Chiefs more likely to go out in the first round or let's say win the AFC. Because the Super Bowl is still going to be very difficult to win. Between those two things, you can vote in the chat as well. But please go do that on Spotify, please, and download on Apple at the same time too. I suppose we should talk about the NFC, starting with the NFC South. The Saints are now back to being the favorites. The Falcons are last amongst the 3 teams, and the Bucs are in second. But I still think that the Bucs have the best chance of winning it because they have the NFC South games to play with. So you just win those and you're probably good. Because these teams don't beat anyone else.
Atlanta certainly doesn't, except for last week.
Atlanta not afraid to hit other teams in stride. They have one play that works every time. It's Ritter throws to other team. Without fail, it works. He sucks. He's so bad.
It was not a positive
London
game.
had a pretty good game today. They probably should have won that one, right? I mean, what did it come
Yes.
down to last second? They probably should have won that.
Probably Atlanta was the better team today.
See, I completely disagree. Atlanta was the far superior team the last time they played. The Bucs were the better team today. And when it came down to it, Baker had a drive with basically their season on the line, and he came through.
Yeah.
When
He did. He
when
did. He
you
totally
said that
did.
Chris Godwin had a catch, I was like, who the fuck is Chris? Or you're like, Godwin.
Godwin for a
I was
first
like,
down.
who is Godwin? It's like, oh yeah, he plays on the Bucs still. That's a guy. So the Bucs, the rest of the season go Packers, Jags, Saints, Panthers. Like they could lose the next 2 games and then win the last 2, and they probably, or at least and they would win the division because they have the tie breaks in the division, and it wouldn't go anywhere because they would have beat the Saints and the Panthers, and they would be 5-1 in the division.
Falcons have Panthers, Colts, Bears, Saints.
All right, they could go 4-0 and 0-4. Like that's on the table for the Falcons.
But
Let's say
presumably-
they beat Carolina, so they're either 3-1 or 1-3.
And I think they probably go 2-2, and they get 8-9.
So 2-2
as long
does
as
them
that-
2-2 does them nothing if the Bucs beat the Saints because they're probably going to beat the Panthers, and the Bucs hold the tiebreaker with all of these teams because of division record.
So even if Atlanta wins 2 more NFC South games,
Yeah, because that would necessitate that the Buccaneers win 2 more NFC South games because they play the Saints and Panthers. Then they'd be 5-1 in the division, and the Falcons would be 4-2.
who was the other loss the Falcons had in
They
division?
lost to the Saints, didn't they?
They
They split with the Saints, I believe. Or they lost the first. Maybe I'm wrong on
no,
that.
they beat the Saints in the only time they played. I think Atlanta
Okay, so-
only has 1 loss in division.
Okay, so I don't know why Tampa Bay is currently winning the tiebreaker then.
Well, because Tampa probably has a better winning percentage now or something.
Well, no, because they still have 2 NFC
Also,
South
the
games
Saints
left too.
Between them, the Saints, and I don't know.
Maybe it's an
or they're
NFC.
tied and they go to the next tiebreaker, which is like probably NFC, which is probably conference record or strength of schedule or strength.
Yeah,
of
well,
opponents.
Atlanta has a loss to both Atlanta's
Common
lost
opponents, yeah.
Atlanta's loss to the Cardinals might come back to fuck them
Yeah.
because they lost to the Cardinals, the Vikings, and the Commanders.
But both of those teams are also in the thick of it for the playoffs in the wild card at 6 and 7 because
They're lingering
there'll
around.
be a game back, assuming that Green Bay beats Tommy Cutlets tomorrow night. There'll be a game back of the NFC wildcard playoffs, and like you can't be confident what you see from Minnesota.
Minnesota's 7-6.
Yeah, but like,
And they have comeback player of the year Nick Mullins starting at quarterback.
you know,
now.
they won 3-0. Let's just say you can't,
Great D. What are you gonna?
I mean, look, it is great. They shut him out, but like, let's not pretend like Minnesota looks great right now.
Well, Minnesota gets 2 against. I guess the
They
other
play
team.
the Lions twice, which
That-
is like a disadvantage in terms of like
Is that
strength
is
of
that
schedule.
is that a disadvantage? The Lions look terrible.
If you had to pick two games, a team to play twice, you would take a few games before you got to the Lions. Like, make that
well,
minimum.
because you have to play 2 teams left in your division at this point. With how the NFC North is shaking out right now, Kenny, and you're the Vikings, would you rather play 2 games against the Lions, Packers, or Bears?
Well, I mean, you'd rather play against the Lions right now just because you beat the Lions twice. You take the lead in the division, right? They're 2 games back
Yes.
of the Lions at this moment. They win both. They're in first place in their division. So that's probably the way I would want to go with that. Just, you know, as somebody who wants to beat the best to get to the top spot. I mean, that would probably be the way to go, right? Currently, based upon where their record is now.
Even throwing the record out of it, but you're right. Yeah, if
is.
they sweep the Lions, they're now tied with the Lions and they own the tiebreaker. But the Lions look bad,
Defensively,
They
they got
do.
problems.
and
They
the
got real
Packers and Bears
problems.
look kind of good at the moment. Like as much as I pan this Montez Sweat thing, I will have egg on tomato on my face or in my mouth.
Yeah,
'cause
Sweat's playing well.
I finished, but since they've gotten him, they have a pass rush. Their defense is like, all right. All of a sudden, Fields looks pretty good.
Agreed. I mean, it's a shame the Bears are 5-8 and probably out of it because like they'd be an interesting team coming down the stretch.
What do you think, Kenny, that the Bears will inevitably do? Now, obviously, we have more time to let this play out when they get the first pick from Carolina. Regardless of how Fields plays, I still think that they have to see what the market is for Fields. Because Atlanta should be like, here, take whatever you want and give us Justin Fields, or the Buccaneers, or another team. Like, he's good enough to be a starting quarterback. Is he a
Yes.
Is he a starting quarterback who can win you a Super Bowl if you have the first pick? Like, is it worth it to get assets for Justin Fields, reset your contract clock with either Caleb Williams or Drake May or whoever it is that you take at number 1, have those 5 years of a rookie contract. You probably still have a fringe top 10 pick anyway. You have the high pick in the second. Actually, no, they gave away the high pick in the second round in the Montez
To
Sweat
the
deal.
Commanders.
But you save so much in cap room by not having to sign, because you're going to have to sign Fields to $400 million next year when you re-up him. Like, I think I would take the reset because you're probably not going to win the Super Bowl anyway with Fields.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you can get a decent amount for Fields.
What
I mean,
would
if
the
you can
Commanders
get,
give 'em?
Do you think he commands more than a second round pick?
I don't think so.
I
sec-
think probably not, eh? Given that you'd have to pay him a
Second round started probably
boatload of
pushing
money.
it too. But I mean, the thing is, he's been playing really well the last like 5-6 games, right? Like 6 games, he's been pretty good.
But I mean, well, it's funny because the thing that helps the Bears the most in my scenario actually makes the decision far more difficult is that you kind of need Fields to play great to increase his stock so you get more for him.
Yeah.
But then everyone's going to kill you if you trade him because he's played so well.
You're going to get killed regardless if you make the wrong decision.
Well, financially, it's the right move, right? Because then you get a quarterback on their rookie contract for another 5 years straight who could probably would be better than Justin Fields.
If you believe that
So-
he would be better. Like, that's the thing, right? These quarterbacks pan out as often as they don't. So are you willing
That's true.
Are you willing to roll the bones with one of these quarterbacks and get very little return on Fields? Or would you rather hang on to Fields, get 3 first-round picks, and really stock up in the trenches to protect him and maybe get another pass rusher?
I mean, from everything that we've heard so far, they're going to draft a quarterback, right? I mean, that's what everyone's saying.
would
But I mean,
think
of
they
course,
will.
yeah. But I mean, things could change. But that's what I'm hearing right now. I mean, I again, financially, that probably would work because you're right. Because even though you'd have a couple of those first round picks, you're going to have to pay for Justin Fields a lot of money. If you're going to stay, next year's going to be his 4th or 5th year, right? It's contract year.
Yeah, and you're
So-
never going to trade for him if you're not going to pay him
Yeah.
the big money, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
Who are the teams? I mean, if you have a low first round pick, like if you're somebody like, they would never do it in division, but like a Minnesota would make a lot of sense.
Oh, they have Nick Mullins. They're fine.
Because they may have like the 24th pick in the draft. And maybe that's worth it to you for Fields.
It's going to be a very tough decision.
It certainly is.
But I think you need to think about getting it. Listen, you have to get the pick right.
Yes.
So if you get the pick right, what puts you in the best position to actually be a contender? It's trading away Fields, getting the pick right, and then building around that because of all of the assets that you'll have. And the flexibility you'll have in those 5 years with that contract.
Because you think the money's actually not the important part. It's because you think the quarterback you're going to draft
is going to be better.
If you thought Fields would be better than the quarterback, who cares about the money? You stick with the better quarterback because all that matters is the good quarterback.
That's fair, but I mean, all of the talk around Fields for all this time is, you have to give him an offensive line, you have to give him weapons. Well, you got to eventually pay those guys as well.
That's right.
And if you're paying Fields, we're seeing it with Kansas City right now.
Yeah, that's right. No, I mean, if you are relatively comfortable in saying, I think that whoever I take at 1 will be better than Fields, then yeah, you go do that. Unhesitatingly, I think.
We don't have a lot of... Run the Sims gave me a winner today. Well, I had the Khalil Herbert under rushing attempts of 5.5, which was not even really a sweat.
It was for a moment when I asked
when you asked me
doing.
what was my big prop today, and I said, Khalil Herbert under rushing attempts. First play, Khalil Herbert rushing attempt.
Yeah.
So he didn't have another one the rest of the game.
CEH under 2.5 receptions, too.
Did it come through?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he had a third towards the end of the game.
He had two.
The other one that I had was, I keep forgetting this guy's name because I had never heard of him.
Long, right?
It was Long. Yeah, it was Long under, let's see, it's settled, and it was a winner. Hunter Long under 12.5 receiving.
I was so scared of that one, I didn't play it.
I
was like, I don't know who this guy is,
but let's
and
go.
I'm terrified. I'm not
He was
going to
the
do it.
Rams' backup tight end.
Yeah, fair enough. I literally never heard him on.
Yeah, the Sims are like, he's projected for 1 yard in this game. It's like, all right.
There was another backup tight end who scored a touchdown for them.
Wait, but he was the guy
he went ham.
But he started, though. Like, the Sims had him as the starter, and this guy as the backup, and the books had it flipped in terms of yardage.
Like if you told me he finished 12th in live qualifying today, I would have believed you.
You killed poor Laurie Cantor. You tweeted out that he was going to get his card because he was in pole position, that he lost a playoff on live, and now he has nowhere to play golf again.
Did he top a ball into the water?
Yes. And he missed a 5-foot putt for his live tour card. It didn't touch the hole.
They had that other guy who withdrew from some heart condition.
Yeah,
right?
Tootin. That's Cust guy.
Yep.
Cust found out who he was during the Corn Ferry qualifying when we were watching. He's like, I'm going to root for this Tootin guy. He has a cool name. He had to take a 2-stroke penalty after the round we were watching that cost him his PGA Tour card. And then he just was going to try to qualify again. And now he has heart problems and can't play golf anymore. You didn't kill him. You didn't kill him. He just killed his career.
And him next.
It's devastating.
For who?
For him, obviously. What terrible news.
Feels like how you caused it out of the Super Bowl.
So I have a few more moments here before we get to the...
Okay.
Unless there's anything else NFC. Like, is Detroit in real trouble?
What's real trouble?
Like, you have them as your Super Bowl winner. Would you pick them as your Super Bowl winner today?
No, of course not.
They could easily lose the
that's
first
fair.
round of playoffs, man.
Yeah, of course I could. I would pick the 49ers right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think almost everyone would at this point. But they're going to suffer like 2 catastrophic injuries like they do every
And
single
that
year.
would be the reason to couch against them. But
Yeah.
healthy, I wouldn't ever pick against
But
them.
like for the entire year, we've had this conversation of you have San Francisco, Philly, and Dallas are like the class of the NFC. Detroit's on an island by themselves. Then there's everyone else. Is Detroit just everyone else now?
No, they're still
Are they?
slightly the gap.
When they
is
play in a
closed.
dome, when
Even-
they play in a dome, they're probably
They
closer
don't
to
play.
the upper,
Well, they don't
upper
play
3 level.
They don't play any more outdoor games this year.
That's helpful.
This was their last outdoor
That's
game.
very helpful.
They go
This
to
golf
New
looks awful.
Orleans. They play at home.
They play the
at
Vikings.
Minnesota. So they may very well have to play, and likely they'll play their first playoff game at home inside as well. So you're unlikely to see
Like-
them before the divisional round in an outdoor game.
If
I think he only had 1 pick, right? But he should have had like 4.
Yeah.
He threw it to like the Bears' chest like a couple times.
I mean, I don't know how many drops Amon Ra had in the game, but it felt like 50. It
Lots.
Yeah.
was not great.
But they can beat anybody because your offense can track meet with anybody. Right? They have
But
the-
we haven't seen that lately. We saw it against the Chargers.
I mean, they were furiously coming back against Green Bay. If that game was 3 minutes longer, they would have come back to beat Green Bay.
I
on
suppose,
Thanksgiving.
but they scored all their points like really early against the Saints. They
Yes.
scored like 3 touchdowns in 3 minutes, and they didn't.
But it was
really,
enough. Like they
it
got
was
over the
enough,
line.
but that's against the Saints. The Saints
Anyway,
are terrible.
But the Saints also can score. They have players, in theory, who can score.
In theory,
Yeah, in
they
theory.
don't score.
Olavi's a really nice player. And, of course, Jimmy Graham catches a touchdown all the time now.
Yeah, Jimmy Graham, the unstoppable Jimmy Graham.
He and Mercedes Lewis are having renaissances.
We didn't look up. He has to be the oldest player in the NFL, right?
Unless there's a kicker out there that was like in his 40s.
Mercedes Lewis is 30. Mercedes Lewis is older than me. He is. He's 39 years old. May 19th, 1984.
So Rodgers is
Oh,
older.
yeah, I guess, yeah, Jason Peters.
Aaron
is-
Rodgers is older than him, too.
Position player.
Yeah. Well, Rodgers is a position player.
I mean, it's funny, like non-quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, also doesn't play in the league.
He did for a couple of minutes, and may in a couple of weeks.
He is an ESPN talking head.
He may in a couple of weeks.
We didn't even talk about San. Is there anything to talk about with San Francisco?
I thought Seattle put up a valiant fight.
Yeah, sort of.
I mean, Seattle has lost some tough games against some good teams, but I thought that they put some real fight up against both Dallas and San Francisco.
Especially with Locke as
Yeah,
their
like,
quarterback.
I thought they'd roll
I know
over.
Gino hasn't been great this year, but better than fucking True Locke.
Like, Seattle continues to be scrappy. They may end up falling out of the playoffs given that schedule, but
Well, if
I
the-
like them against the Eagles next week. It's in theory. I like their chances.
You really hate the Eagles, don't you?
No, I don't hate the
It's-
Eagles.
You pick against the Eagles every
I
week.
just don't think the Eagles are as good as their record.
Well, no one thinks that they're as good as their
So
record.
that's why I pick against
But
them.
you're picking the Seahawks, who just continue to lose games. They lost 4 in a row now.
We'll see. That was flexed into Monday night.
Well, who do they have to flex out? The Patriots?
Patriots Chiefs was flexed out.
It's
Pretty
bad
good.
news when you got crying Patty Mahomes on the sidelines, flexing him at a Monday night.
Oh, well.
Bad look.
Can't flex the Raiders out because
Can't
people
be
are
crying.
traveling to Las
Patrick
Vegas.
Mahomes isn't our friend Danny after a soccer game that doesn't matter, crying on the field. I had to do something for the gallery. So finally, my moments of the day. One, Carolina jumping offside on that very clear Derek Carr trying to draw you offside 4th down. Just mind-bogglingly bad. I had the Charles Davis one. I had that written down. When Mark Schlereth said that dog, he said, "I shall call him Butkus."
No, I officially name him Butkus.
And then whoever was the play-by-play guy was like, Dick Butkus passed away earlier this year.
And the leap.
Yeah, the Donta Foreman leap when there was no reason to leap, and the commentators just openly mocking it and laughing. It was pretty good. And no gloves Puka. He's like Moises Alou. He doesn't need this thing. He just pisses on his hands, sticks to his hands.
It's old school like Tim Brown. He just had the tape on his knuckles.
That's it. Let's get some spreads for week number 15. No more bye weeks. Kenny is the guest. Kenny can go first. We've been rotating who goes first. So I'll go second, and Tim can go last. I'm on a 1-game winning streak.
He who is last shall be first, and the first shall be last.
So let's hear it. At DraftKingsSportsbook.com. Paul, what do we got?
Thursday night football. We've got the Chargers at the Raiders.
They just give spreads now. They don't even care who plays.
Raiders by 3.5. I'm sorry. Chargers by 3.5.
No.
Raiders by 3.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
It was 3.5.
I forgot about the
The injury.
Herbert injury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about the
That's
injury.
still higher than I was going. I was going like 1.5.
Yeah. Eventually, the books have to acknowledge that the Chargers are no good.
Yeah, but like
And
the
just
Raiders
not make
just
them
lost
huge
3-0.
favorites every
The Raiders
week.
just lost 3-0 at home. So
Yeah, against the Brian Flores defense. And Nick Mullens, the
Yeah.
Mulldog.
Anyway,
They've
Your
scored,
guy.
they've
Think
scored
that-
6 points in the last 2 weeks.
I would just take points in that game. So I guess I
Well, no, the Chargers scored a touchdown today.
Oh, okay.
They eventually
guess-
scored.
Okay,
one.
yeah.
I
At the
gotta
end?
take the Chargers in theory. Take,
Good.
take points in that game.
Okay.
Don't watch a second of it either.
The total is 34.5.
So we have 3 Saturday games this week now as well.
Yep.
So we're just assuming I think Herbert's probably done for the year. If
I don't know if
had
he's
to
done for the
guess.
year. He's certainly done this week. I wouldn't rush him back. There's no rush.
The only smart thing the Chargers did is not give Eckler the bag.
Well, you don't give the running backs the bank.
Yep.
Have we learned
Unless
anything?
Christian McCaffrey's probably like the outlier. in
Yeah,
that
but you know what?
conversation.
San Francisco's not going to give him the bag. They picked up the bag from Carolina on a short deal.
That's
if
fair.
if running backs would just sign 2-year deals for a ton of money, it'd be great. But they all want fucking 5-year deals for the bag when they're going to be useless by the end of it. It's
true.
stupid cap management.
It's true.
If you have a kid, turn them into a quarterback,
No,
an
turn 'em
offensive
into-
lineman.
Otani.
Offensive linemen could have like 20-year careers and make like $15 million. You never heard of the guy
Be a
before.
pitcher. There's a lot more money in being a pitcher.
Nobody on the street knows who you are, but
Yeah, you work 5 days.
Live the good life.
Once every 5 days.
Exactly.
It's a great gig. So 3 Saturday games this week. And if you did not tune in earlier, I shall say again, who's not scoring the first touchdown, sir?
Swift.
15-1 at DraftKings Sportsbook right now, according to the chat at least. I had to bet it.
I think he moved down to 14 because Cust's a market
every
mover.
week, you actually do move the market every week on this show. Whoever you say it immediately gets slashed. All right, Saturday game, I'm up first, and I'm up 2-0.
All right, we got the Vikings at the Bengals.
Can you even make Mullens an underdog? Is that even fair? Bengals by 3.
Nope.
Bengals by 1.
Nope.
Kenny, for the steal?
Bengals by 3.5.
Ding, ding. Well, it's 4, but
It's 4, so Kenny gets the point.
he wins.
They're not showing. Are you going to take Mullens? In good conscience, you can't take Mullens.
No, I really can't.
Cincy with Browning's been good.
Yeah, Browning's awesome.
A lot of points, though.
Is
All right.
Joe Burrow a system quarterback? That's the real question.
Is that what we're throwing? You think
Social media quarterback.
social media quarterback Joe Burrow? By the way, yeah, I know how you say that Sky Moore is the biggest Ponzi scheme on the go for fantasy football.
He is.
Zach Moss is a DraftKings Ponzi
Oh, he
scheme.
killed me.
He killed
me
everyone again. He was like 90% owned again.
Yeah,
And he scored a
45% owned.
He scored a touchdown. It got called back.
too. Yeah, the worst.
Dude, he has like 16 carries inside the 10 in the last 2 weeks,
know.
and he hasn't gotten in the end zone. I have him because and in a couple of my leagues, one is a playoff league that started this week, where it's a 2-week playoff, and of course I have McKinnon on the bench. It was brutal.
The comments in the chat, just some poor trader at DraftKings is forced to watch the show until you make your pick.
All right, who's up next?
Cust is up first on the next game.
All right, we got Steelers at the Colts.
Jesus Christ. Pickett may or may not be back for this game.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Colts by 1.5.
Nope.
Kenny.
Colts by 2.5.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ooh, Kenny into the lead, 3-2. So Colts by 2.5? Mm-hmm. Is Pittsburgh just going to get mollywopped?
I don't like their chances. They lost to a lot worse teams the last 2 weeks.
The Colts apparently need to make some sort of extreme defensive play every single week just to stay in games now.
Yeah, it's true. Both of those teams live off freakish plays.
Freaky plays. Oh, there's your parlay. Defensive touchdowns on both sides.
Or special teams.
Yeah, or special teams. Next game.
Denver at Detroit.
Ooh, I like Denver. Like Denver. Tell you that right now. Detroit by...
The world's going to love Denver.
You don't think it's
The
Detroit?
world is going to love Denver.
Yes, they probably should. Well, it depends on what the spread is. If the spread is minus 14 for Detroit, the world's probably going to love Denver. But if the spread is...
Kenny's pick. He goes first.
It's Kenny's pick. Go ahead, Kenny.
Lions 1.5.
Nope.
Lions 2.5.
Nope.
Lions by 3.
Tim wins. It's Lions by 4.
Ooh. Yeah, world is going to love Detroit.
Yeah, the world. No,
Yeah,
the world's
or
going
Denver.
You think
Yeah.
so?
Denver.
Oh, Denver. Yeah, sorry.
It's going to be a
Yeah.
very square underdog pick.
All right, so Pat, you're up.
Yeah, it worked this week with the Bears, though.
It did.
The Bears were a very publicly backed underdog.
And with good reason, I suppose.
And then, like, Jeff was in our DMs being like, Phillip Rivers is in the building.
yeah,
I'm betting the Chargers. Like, Jeff, you were already going to bet the Chargers
The
this
Jets
week.
were
You bet the
a-
Chargers every week,
The
bud.
Jets were a pretty public dog this
We
week.
all bet the Jets.
When I knew Zach
won a
was
ton of
in,
money
I was
off the
just
Jets.
like, I took like a +6. I
Yeah.
took a +5.5, and I took like +205 on the money line.
There you have it.
Beat the number by a mile. Pat, I think, is up.
I am up.
We have Atlanta at Carolina.
Atlanta. Is anything less than 3 the Atlanta zone?
Maybe, but could.
They're 5-point dogs in New Orleans. I think that dropped to like 4 by kickoff. Atlanta by 3.5.
Nope.
3.
Ding, ding, ding.
So low.
So everyone's gonna bet Atlanta, and then it's gonna be just a
but
stupid
Atlanta
game.
will win, but they'll win by like 2
Yeah.
because they'll miss an extra point somehow.
Carolina is unquestionably the worst team in the NFL.
No draft
Unquestionably.
pick.
Well, yeah,
Fired
there are
5
certain-
coaches in 5 years.
Their circumstances are awful, but like just There is no team against whom they would be favored on a neutral field.
The best was when we were watching the game. We had it up in like the corner. It was kind of like the TV that's like the hardest to like draw your eye towards. And every once in a while, like Tim would be like, oh, "Man, Bryce Young's looking really good." And then we saw his stat line at the end of it. It's like, "Oh no!" It's like all those picks we saw him throw in incomplete passes. Those add up. He
rushed well. He had 3 for 40. Like he had a couple of nice rushes today.
Jim Saunas from Number Fire put out that he had I think it was a minus 30 EPA per dropback total for the game, meaning his EPA per dropback was minus 0.77. So they lost points expectedly, like for the projection, every time he dropped back.
Good thing they didn't trade a bunch of assets to go get him.
Yeah, smart. So Tim gets the points. 3 for Kenny, 3 for Tim, 2 for me, and Tim is up first.
We got the Buccaneers at the Packers.
Packers by 5.
Nope.
Oh no, it's Kenny.
Packers by 3.5.
Ding, ding, ding.
Wow, Kenny cheating.
Short number.
It is really short.
Okay.
That'll change once Green Bay plays this week, I think.
I don't know. Green Bay's favored by like 7 points against Tommy Cutlets.
Yeah, but if they beat them by 40,
That price should already be kind of an easy Green Bay win should already be priced into that line.
If Green Bay absolutely blows out Tommy Cutlets,
That's
if he
the game.
sauces them up.
And that's the game I'll be watching tomorrow night.
next game.
We got the Jets at the Miami Dolphins.
Ooh, Kenny, you're up.
Dolphins by 10.5.
Nope.
Dolphins by 9.
Nope.
I don't think it's in between. I think it's a bigger number.
Then you should prices right him.
Yeah, I mean, the Dolphins are 14-point favorites this week. I'm going to take Dolphins by 11.
Tim wins. Dolphins by 12.
Yeah, I see it.
That probably only goes up like it does every week.
Probably. I mean, the Jets
It's not going to cross 2 touchdowns. Though.
It might. Well, I mean, San Francisco, I think, crossed 14 today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did not cover.
Did not cover. Seattle covered. I think they covered our show number, though.
It was 12.5 on the show.
Was it? And then they won by 13? Or
They won by 12.
They won by 12? Interesting. All right, next game.
We got the Giants at the Saints.
Saints by 4.
Nope.
I mean, it should be a lot bigger. I'm going to say Saints by, let's see, Packers by 7. Packers better than the Saints. 5.5.
Nope.
6 Saints.
It's 3.5, isn't it?
It's 6.5, so Kenny
Oh, wow.
wins.
So the Giants are 6.5-point dogs in New Orleans, and Carolina was a 4-point dog in New Orleans.
And it's only 7 points tomorrow night?
They're telling you the wheels are going to fall off for Cutlets.
Oh, no. But what will New York Jersey Turnpike Radio have to talk about then? About
That's
who's
what
the best?
everybody's talking about, according to some people.
Yeah, oh yeah, DeVito's playing. Tommy
Tommy
Cutlets.
Cutlets.
Smash the like while you're here, by the way, and sub to the channel. That always really helps us out. Mayo Media Network, if you didn't know. The newsletter comes out later on tonight with the full recap of injuries, props for Monday night. That's free to subscribe to down in the description as well. And if you're just tuning in, DeAndre Swift is not scoring the first touchdown, according to Tim Cust.
Not my
Next game.
We got the Bears at the Browns.
And it's Kenny first
Yeah.
or Tim? It's you first.
Me first.
Yeah.
Bears at Browns. Browns by 6.5. No. Browns by 5.5.
Nope.
Browns by 3.5.
Nope.
What'd you say?
5.5.
And he said 3.5?
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to say 5 or 4? If I say 4.5, do I split it each way?
4.5 would be a 3-way split.
It wouldn't be a 3-way split. I'd split with one of you if it's in between.
Oh, yeah.
Unless it's 6. You said 5.5?
5.5.
6.
It's Browns by 3.
Oh, wow.
Bears are getting respect now. They probably should. Their defense, their running defense is really good.
I agree.
Could eat Joe Flacco for lunch. There's no doubt.
Joe Flacco, undefeated.
And he's getting the starts now. They actually said that.
Would the
He's
Jets
not undefeated.
Would
He
the,
lost last week.
Would the Jets
Browns
be
lost last
would
week.
the Jets be 17-0 with Joe Flacco?
No.
Are you sure?
I've already had that experience.
Yeah.
Didn't go well.
Next game.
We got the Chiefs at the Patriots.
Jesus. The all-time get right game.
If there ever was
Chiefs
one.
by Chiefs by 10.
Nope.
Chiefs by 8.5.
Nope.
Chiefs by 10.5.
It's 9.5. I think Kenny wins.
Kenny gets it again. Kenny, I got the first one right, and I haven't got a point since. It's 8-4-2 for Kenny. It's not locked up.
I usually suck at this, so.
It's not locked up.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. You gotta nail it.
Over. We got Houston at Tennessee.
Houston at Tennessee, and there is a line on this game.
There is a line.
Tennessee by 1.5.
Ding, ding, ding. I would imagine that's a no,
I think Stroud's definitely
probably a
not
no,
playing. That's a no
Stroud
Stroud.
line. And
Yeah, if it's Stroud,
he gets cleared-
if Stroud is playing, the Texans are favored.
yeah, that goes to like -2 Texans or something.
But he took his
hellacious hit.
His head did not hit the ground super soft.
No,
put it
that
way.
turf is already awful turf to begin with.
So 8-4.
Probably impossible for him to not win Rookie of the Year still.
Yeah, he's
even
still-
if he doesn't play anymore.
I can't log on to DraftKings right now because it might reveal the spreads, but I assume he's still minus 10,000 like he was last week.
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier in the week. It's like Ohtani with the MVP in baseball, or AL MVP in baseball. It's like he missed the last month, but it's like it was already over by
It's
the
over.
time.
So is your pick first on the next game?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So we got the Commanders at the Rams.
Is the late set of games now too?
Rams by 3.5.
Nope.
Kenny, your Commandos?
Rams by 7.5.
Nope.
Rams by 7.
6.5.
You went way low.
Okay.
You're the one who's big up in the Rams every week. The Commanders suck, man.
Coming off a bye.
Tim didn't want to disrespect
No,
Kenny.
coming off a bye. I guess I
That's
like
what happened
No, we
there.
suck.
Yeah.
We suck.
No, coming off
We're
a
like the
bye.
worst team in the league.
Kind of like
Horrible.
Washington in that game. Now.
Coming off the bye doesn't matter. We have the worst freaking coach in the league. You know, how does Ron Rivera still have a job? He's been coach for like 15 years. He has 3 winning seasons. 3. How does he still work?
And 2 coaches.
I don't
of the year.
understand.
3, I think.
Yeah.
I think he has 3 Coach of the Year awards.
3 winning seasons in his career.
Hey, that 15-1 season will drag your record along when you go to the Super Bowl.
I guess.
Next game.
49ers at Cardinals.
And it's Kenny first.
I believe so.
Kenny, you're up.
49ers 13.5.
Nope.
49ers 12.5.
Nope.
49ers by 15.
I think 13.5 wins because it's 14.
Yeah, 13
You should
and a
have
half
priced
to
it.
win.
Tim's off his game today.
You
Those
are. You're off on
tomatoes,
multiple points.
got him shook.
Yeah.
Just like we gave him the scratch tickets and he lost. So 9-5-4. Kenny is in the lead, so I need to get a bunch right here exactly to come back and win.
All right, we got the Cowboys at my Buffalo Bills.
I have no idea who's going to be favored in this game. It should be Dallas, but it might not be. Bills by 1.
Nope.
Cowboys by 2.5.
Nope.
Cowboys by 2.
It's Bills by like 3 or something.
Bills by 2.5.
2.5, yeah. So I
My
get the point.
God.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Bills at home. Like the analytics suggest the Bills are one of the 5 best teams in football.
They think Dallas
I mean,
is
the
too.
Cowboys
Yeah,
have been
but-
like the best team in the NFL for like the last 5 weeks.
Yeah, but now
Right?
it's Dallas against a good team outdoors.
Okay.
Orchard Park is going to be fired up.
I'm not saying the Bills are going to win the game.
No, fair enough.
That was a big turn of events. My group chats.
Your group
are
chat's positivity now?
Considering everything that happened today, a lot more positivity. It was gross. It was
Look,
getting
Bills
pretty bad in
Mafia
there.
is one of my outs now.
Oh, God.
I only have
I didn't want to hear that.
I have a couple of outs to get rid of you know who, and that team needs to go. Buffalo is now one of the obstacles that can get that team out of my
All
way.
right, now we're screwed.
I don't need you yet, but I will need you
2
soon.
games remain.
We got the Baltimore Ravens at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Baltimore by 1.5.
Nope.
Kenneth.
Ravens by 3.5.
Ding, ding, ding.
And it's over.
Big number.
Kenny nails it. And what's the last game? Philadelphia and Seattle?
Philly at Seattle.
Philly by 4.
Nope.
Philly by 6.
Nope.
Philly 7.
It's Philly 4.5.
So it's me. 11-7-4. is the final score for our guest, Kenny Kim, host of the Fantasy Golf Degenerates, which you can subscribe to on Spotify, where you can also answer today's daily question about the Chiefs. So please go do that. You can find that on Apple Podcasts and the video versions on Mayo Media Network as well. When are you guys coming back? In the new year? You guys going to do, you and Tambo going to do?
I think we're gonna do one pod before the new year. We'll do like a preview pod and something for the century, since the century is like the first week of January. So look for something like the last week of December from us. Maybe even a little bit sooner if the pricing comes out quick. We'll have to see.
Over under days until you take that air fryer out of the box.
I don't know. I feel like I would. Is there assembly required?
No. You plug it into the wall and put food into it.
Like, if there's no assembly
good.
required, I can get it going this week.
I mean, you have to take it out of you can open it and take it out of the styrofoam and plug it in.
There's these little, like, papers that you may want to get, and they have, like, little holes in them. It
Yeah.
keeps...
Yeah, then you don't have to clean it as often.
They have them at Costco, like in the
coffee
back.
filters?
Basically, yeah. But he has...
They're
he
like
has,
air fryer filters.
He has, like, plastic ones that you just take the plastic out.
Okay.
It's not plastic, but it's like wax paper, essentially.
Well, I can't wait to have a corner where I just tell people about my travails or successes with my double. And really, if you're getting an air fryer, you really should get the double drawer.
You should record
That's
it. Post it to Twitter.
I mean, if you're gonna have one, you mustn't get double door. I mean, what's the point otherwise?
the dual action air fryer. Tim Andercust is now an owner of one of these things. I want to thank Tim and Kenny, Geoff and Yanni for being in the crowd, Paul behind, and all of you great people, very good people who tune into the show the best. Please smash the like. Will, you are here. Thanks for watching. I'm Pat Mayo, and I'll see you next time.